So this is the second video I've made on DocWrangler. The first video is called Creating My First Pipeline with DocWrangler, a step-by-step guide, where it's more of a intro kind of demo, just me kind of figuring out the interface, installation, and going end to end on a relatively simple task, which was to extract takeaways from a single PDF research paper. So in this video, what I'm going to do is something more involved and more open-ended. What I want to do is I want to generate a LLM context file, and I want to be able to give that context file to an LLM and then ask it questions about all of my blog posts. So what I've done is that the raw documents are the blog posts converted to markdown files, and I've uploaded them here on, which you can see on the left-hand side. And DocWrangler has processed them into this JSON format. And then you can see there's 164 documents with 4,000 words on average, a minimum of 34 words, and a maximum of 172,000 words, and a pretty large standard deviation. Most of them, 160 documents, are less than 9,000 words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think out loud and kind of live code this problem in this video, and we'll see how far we get. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, do a map operation, and what the goal I'm trying to achieve is that I want to extract enough detail from each blog post that I can create one context file that has all the information kind of summarized, so that I can give that to an LLM, and then I can ask it questions about, what are the themes in my blog posts, or what are keywords that I can use to summarize the skills that I've used in my different blog posts, or how many blog posts did I do about topic X or topic Y or things like that. So I'm going to start out with I'll just call this an intro prompt, and I'll say something like, I want to extract information from each document so that I can combine it into a single document that I can provide to an LLM as context. This context can be then used to query the LLM about different questions related to the 164 documents that are in this collection. So in some sense, I'm trying to create a compressed or condensed single document of this document collection, such that I can perform RAG on that single document. All right, so that's what I'm going to do here. And if we look at the input, it's markdown. We'll just say takeaways as the output schema. And I don't think I'm actually going to run this yet. I think I'm just gonna, I'm sort of hacking this interface to use this as a chatbot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna improve the prompt. And let me see if I can even do this. I'm not sure if I need to add any non-LLM steps in the pipeline to split the documents by heading, for example. So I'm going to say improve prompt, and I'm going to use my personal open API key. And then additional instructions, I'm going to say this initial prompt is actually a prompt to think about the problem at hand, and I would like to get your feedback on how I should approach this problem, what kind of pipeline I should create, and then given all that information, update the prompt accordingly. Oh, oh, good. So, so yeah, again, I I'm not sure if this is how you're supposed to use it, but we're just gonna give it a shot. Okay, lacks specificity. I will break down the task into clear steps, specify the desired output format, and provide examples. So I want to extract key information from each document in the collection of 164 documents. The goal is to combine this information into a single condensed document that can be provided to an LLM as context for querying. So that's cool. Identify key sections. For each document, identify and extract key sections based on headings or topics. Summarize information. Condense the extracted information into concise summaries. Aim for 3 to 5 key points per section. Combine summaries. Merge the summaries from all documents into a single document, ensuring that the flow of information is logical. Output format is that. So this is great. You could argue that I shouldn't use GPT-4o Mini for this task. I should probably use something stronger like 4o, or maybe I could just go to Claude and ask it. But this is good enough. And what this kind of tells me is I'm getting ideas on how my pipeline should work. And this is actually what my pipeline should be. So I shouldn't have a single prompt, right? What I should have is I should have one non-LLM operation to split the documents into headings, into sections based on headings. The or topics is interesting, but I trust that my headings are, intuitive enough. So this will actually be step 1 of the pipeline. Step 2 of the pipeline will be a map operation where I'll ask it to do concise summaries, 3 to 5 points per section. And then step 3 will be a reduce operation where I merge the summaries from all documents into a single document, ensuring that the flow of information is logical and coherent. And then the output is like that. So that's fine. I'm going to save and overwrite, save and clear notes. We don't have any notes. And we're going to say add operation, and I'm going to say split. And where's my split? Okay, so I'm going to say split by second level heading. So if I look at some of these documents, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty consistent with doing second level. So I always start with the title is level 1 heading automatically in Corto, which I use for blogging. And then the next level is always second level headings. And then I usually go down to like, 5th at most. So split key is going to be markdown. The delimiter is going to be second level heading. And I think that's good. And how do I move this? Pretty sure you can move it, right? Let's see, move up. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to skip operation. And let's just run this. Cool. And then I forget where somewhere it shows me. Here we go. Yeah, five pipe operations, 5 samples. Okay. So here we go. This is output. What am I looking at here? Markdown chunk. Here we go. So here's title. Here's background. Here's the next section. Inspecting batches. Mixed precision, divergence. So on and so forth. So that's good. Now it's interesting because I don't really know, I guess I should adjust this to 164 eventually. That I'm not sure how you do a sample and if there's a run all or if you just have to adjust the pipeline sample number, but that's fine. So now I can go here. Now I'm going to include this operation, and this is a map, and this is going to be key, I'll say summary and key points. And then I already did this identify key sections, so we're gonna do this. summarize information, aim for 3 to 5 key points per section, and the output should just be document title, title of the document. So yeah, this is a tough one. I think for this, I'll just use file name, but I'm not 100% sure how that works. So we'll just try it. We'll just say input dot file name. You know, there is this title in this here. So, but I'm not really sure how to access that, like how to extract that. So maybe there is an extract specific sections. Well, okay, let's do file name for now, and then I can do the more fancier extracting the title. Okay, and then key points, point 1, point 2, point 3, title, key points. That's not great, but I'm okay. I'm going to keep that, and I don't need this. Please advise. And then here's the markdown. I think what I want to specify here is this is document title, but this is actually going to be, so I'm going to call this section key points. Key point 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to remove this. Because this is not the entire document, right? It's a section based on the second level heading. And then it's doing the summary of key points. And then here's the markdown. Oh, here, and I don't want markdown here. I actually want markdown chunk. All right, so let's go back up here. From each document section provided, or I'll say from the document section provided below. This section is a second level heading in a blog post with the title input dot file name. The goal is to combine this information, so I don't really need that because I'm going to do that in the pipeline. From this section, aim to 3 to 5 key points. And document title is that. And this is going to be takeaways. And let's do takeaway as a list of strings. Okay. I think that's cool. All right, let's run it. So, looks like there's 85 sections. Encounter text corresponding to disallowed special token. If you want this text to be encoded, pass it to allowed special. To disable this, pass disallowed special. Interesting. Not sure what that means. Let's search special token. I don't think that's it. Encounter text corresponding to disallowed special token. If you want, so let me actually screenshot this. And if I can't figure this out in the next couple minutes, I'll ask in the Discord. Allowed special equals that. If you want this text to be encoded, disable the check for this token. So Is there guardrails? Code base guardrail. Yeah, I don't know. Is there something in how I'm asking? I wonder if I have end of text in one of the blog posts, and that's why it's causing this. Disallowed special. Is there like settings? Maybe this. Disallowed special equals that. All right, spelled that right. Okay, let's try it again. Looks like I'm getting the same error. Let me see if it's actually failed to get input and output paths. Okay, settings. All right, so I'm gonna pause the video here because I don't think, yeah, it didn't do the takeaways. So I'm gonna pause the video here and I'm gonna try to troubleshoot this. Before I do that, let me see if there's special. Maybe let's look at closed as well. End of text. Okay. The one thing I do want to do is, let me see if I can find it so I can give an example. So yeah, here's end of text. Etc. Yeah, oh, so many end of texts. Yeah, this is probably from the LLM Foundry blog post. Okay, that's fine. Let me run it again just to make sure I get that error message again. And I'll screenshot it. Alright, so I will stop this video here and continue on once I have a solution. TBD. So I couldn't figure out how to resolve that error. So what I did is I just ran a sed command with Claude's help and just removed the EOS token from my blog post because in most cases it wasn't really adding kind of meaning to the blog post. And once I did that, I re-uploaded my data set and I ran the pipeline and it works. So I'm splitting by the second level heading, and then I have this key points LLM request. I want to extract key information. This is a second level heading. Here's the file name. Condense the information into concise summaries. Aim for 3 to 5 key points. Document title, section key points, and it does that. So it did it. It cost about, I think it was like 3 cents, or I think 4 cents to go over 5 items. So let's look at it. So here's the markdown chunk, and it pretty much, this chapter presents 2 classification models, multi-label and regression. Here's multi-label, here's regression. So this is a small enough chunk where the takeaways were pretty verbatim. So I'm just going to make a note and I'm going to say the chunk is small enough where the takeaways are pretty much verbatim from the chunk, and that's fine. I don't see any issue with that at this point. And we'll just make this neutral, so it'll be yellow. Okay, let's see. This is setup, installation, but the version conflict with torch test, with torch. Import statement indicate an intention to utilize. Yeah, I'm actually okay with this. No explanatory text is in this chunk, so the LLM has inferred what the code is doing, which is fine, and I think it actually adds value to the high-level summary of what I'm trying to do in this blog post. So I'm going to make that green because that feels positive. Another example here, there's mainly just text or they're mainly just code and output text. Yeah, I think that's fine. So same vein as the other one. Okay, so here we go. Construct a data block. So it talks about that. The data frame. I don't think it talks about data frames, but it goes on to talk about helper functions, which is these ones here. Splitter function. And then additional transformations. So this is actually, yeah, chapter 6. So this looks like just kind of like a chapter 6 notes, which is fine. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Let's try to hit another file. So here's another one. And so this is interesting. Here it had document title. In the previous ones it didn't. Right, so here, so I'm going to say the document title is not included in this set of key points. I'm not really sure if that's good or bad. I'm starting to feel like it doesn't really matter. I don't think I really need the document title, so I think I'm actually going to remove that. All right, for the research problems, crops an image, implement TTA, and is it better than the TTA method? So yeah, I mean, this looks good. I'll just say the key points are valid and they match the markdown chunk context. I'll make that green. So I think this is pretty good. Here's an example where, interestingly, there's just this markdown chunk is just this. The key points here are unnecessary and somewhat hallucinating, so I should add an instruction about how I don't need the LLM to force key points if the chunk does not contain enough text for a key point. Okay, I'm going to make that red. Okay, some more code. And it's, talking about the code. I actually kind of like that. I think that's kind of cool that it's just interpreting the code. All right, let's move ahead. Let's see if we go maybe deeper. Here we go. Here's a completely different one. I'll just make a note that I want document title removed from the LLM prompt. And so let's see. I started this project, so this project began with the handbook. Standard error 50%, proportion. I called the contact, and and this narrowed down a complex statistical formula. So that's cool. Yeah, this was a cool project 4 years ago. So yeah, I don't really have any other notes on that. Let's move to a different one Okay, so that's fine. So this is good. I have a couple notes. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to ask it to improve prompt. And that's interesting. Why it's not picking up my notes? So that's fine. I don't know why, but let's see. Chunk is small enough. So let me just. So I think what I'm going to do is just paraphrase the notes because there's not that many. One thing I will highlight, which I think is pretty cool, is I added colors this time, which I did not do last time. And it really helps me see the general distribution of what kind of notes there are. So I can see, okay, about a third of them, or exactly a third of them, are positive things I saw. A third of them are neutral things, maybe slight issues, and then a third of them are things that I need to get fixed. So they're like bugs. So I do like this labeling of colors. That's not something I've done before, and I definitely will do that. It also helps me see, like, I can just ignore these green ones for now. The yellow ones I can also ignore, but I don't want to ignore the red ones. So the two main things I had was that if key points are unnecessary, if the section is small enough where it doesn't make sense to have key points, then don't force key points. And I want to remove the document title. So for document title, I'm just going to remove this from here. And then I think everything else is fine. Document title is gone. Key points, cool. Then I'll go to improve prompt and I'll add a note that says, add something that says the model doesn't need to force key points if the section is short enough where it doesn't contain any key points. It's okay to have 0 or 1 key point. All right. So let's say continue analysis. So read the section. So it added read the section, and then it said evaluate content. Do not force. If applicable, section key points. I'm going to save and overwrite. And I'm going to clear notes. And I'm going to remove. Interesting, it didn't clear notes. That's fine. I'm going to remove this and just do an empty string. Cool. So let's run this again. Oh, interesting. Why is this back again? Let's see, end of text. That is weird. Let me try re-uploading the data. Maybe that'll kind of clear its cache. I think it has a cache. All right, let me give that a shot. All right, so I've re-uploaded the data, and let's try this again. Dang, why is it doing this? So if I go to dataset, end of text, there's no matches. I mean, there used to be matches in a previous version of the dataset, so maybe something like that is happening. All right, let me try this. I'm going to save this to YAML, and then I will load from YAML later on. Run pipeline after clearing all cached results. Let's try that. Run fresh. I think that did it. So I'll just do run fresh each time. So let's look at key points now. This one has 3. This one looks good. Let me see if I can find one where it was just a single line. Nah, that's fine. Kind of unnecessary, but that's fine. Here we go. Perfect. So no key points here. So that's good. That's what I'm looking for. And it looks like document title is not in any of these. All right, looks good. I'm gonna keep moving. So, yeah. So I like what we have so far. I have key points for each one, for each section, and this is giving me, 99 chunks times however many. Can I tell how many there are? So there's like 10, 40, 160, 300-ish. So maybe there's like 400 key points across 5 blog posts, which is quite excessive, but that's okay at this stage because I'm just doing, processing, or not processing, but like I'm still building the pipeline. So what should I do next? I think what I want to do is, I think I want to reduce. Resolve identifies and merges duplicate entities for data consistency. Keeps the same number of documents, just resolves value. Reduce operation aggregates data by key for summarization or folding. I think I want to try a resolve. I'm not 100% sure. Let's take a look at, let's see. Sometimes there's not a guide for that, doesn't seem. So prompt must contain comparison, resolution prompt, blocking threshold, blocking keys. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure. Let me go to their documentation and search for resolve operation. Okay, compare the following 2 patient name entries. Are these entries likely referring to the same patient? Consider name similarity. Respond with true or false. Standardize the following patient name entries into a single consistent format. For entry and inputs, patient name, and provide a single standardized patient name that represents all the matched entries. Use the format last name, first name if available. Yeah, that kind of sounds like what I want to do. I'm not 100% sure about the syntax, but I'm just going to follow this as best as I can. So I'll say compare the following lists of key points from each section. And so it has patient 1, that, date of birth, that. So key points 1, input 1 dot key points. And then key points 2 is going to be input 2 dot key points. So that's this column. Are these entries likely referring to the same patient? Respond with true if they are likely, or false if they are likely different patients. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the right operation, because this is an array. So this will be an array, and this will be an array. And what I'm asking it to do is... let's just try it. What I'm asking it to do is, are any of the key points in both lists similar to each other? Respond with true if so, and false if not. And then the resolution one, standardize the following patient name entries into a single consistent format. So I'm going to say consolidate similar key points using consistent language. And if I go back to our explanation, it merges duplicate entities. So that is good. So this, I'm just going to copy that. So I'm going to say key points entry dot key points. I feel like there should be a nested loop, but let's just see if this works for now. Provide a single standardized patient name. So I'll say remove duplicates and use consistent language and replace with a unique key point. Blocking threshold, unsure of what value, click the lightning button to optimize this operation, which will automatically determine the blocking threshold. Optimize operation. This will analyze the operation and replace it with another pipeline that has higher accuracy. Do you want to proceed? 2 to 10 minutes, depending on how. Alright, let's try it. Let's see, missing required key output. Oh, I think this, I see. Output. So output is going to be, I think, key points. Maybe. Let's see. And if I recall, yes, I did optimize operation, not optimize pipeline. Oh, rate limit. Okay. That's interesting. I don't think that's going to be something I can resolve. So I might have to just roll with it. Oh, it's doing something. Optimizing, rate limit. Let's see, I don't think there was anything in here. So maybe I can just keep it blank. And it still says optimization starting. Doesn't have any progress on that. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and we'll see if this runs, and we'll start it back again. Alright, so it kept hitting the rate limit, so I've just stopped the operation. I'm going to keep it blank, see if it runs, and we're going to call this consolidating key points. And again, I'll pause the video and continue once it's done. Okay, so it says this may result in a large number of comparisons. We recommend specifying at least one blocking key or condition. So, can I say no? I'll say I don't want to move forward. Okay. So, I'm just going to put a random value here. Key points. So maybe it'll do 5 at a time. Not sure. Let's see if that does run. A technique to reduce the number of comparisons. Okay, here we go. So the resolve operation creates a union of pairs that pass either blocking method. First, pairs that satisfy any of the blocking conditions are selected, and then pairs that meet the blocking threshold for embedding similarity are added if not already included. When sampling is needed, code-based pairs are prioritized over embedding-based pairs. So same as before, blocking keys, last name, date of birth, blocking threshold 0.8. So for embedding similarity. So that seems like a cosine similarity maybe. And then blocking conditions is, there's like a match. So I don't want to do blocking conditions. Alright, so I'm going to say no, don't run it. And so blocking, let's just say 0.8. What's this? Blocking key. Blocking keys. Alright, let's try this. Cool. Number of pairs to compare using compare batch size. So it's 5,000 pairs. And rate limit. Shoot. Okay. So it looks like that's not gonna work. But I'll give it a shot. I'm gonna pause the video. We'll start back again if it completes in a reasonable time. Okay, operation complete. So let's take a look. Let's see. So output schema was key points. So I think that overwrites what I had, which is not great. I didn't think of that. But here we have object 1, key points. All right, anyway, let's look at key points. And yeah, I can't really tell. You know, if we look at the number, okay, maybe that's going to help. So 1 plus 8, so 9, plus, so 30-ish, 230, 300. So it hasn't reduced it too much. It has some reduction. You know, I had like 400-ish before, and it's like 350-ish. So I'm going to say, for two reasons. Number one, I don't really understand how resolve works. So I think I need to spend a little more time understanding that. And two, however I've implemented it, either I've implemented it wrong or well, regardless, it doesn't really seem to be consolidating. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the resolve operation. And I'm going to replace it with a reduce operation. So I'm going to say consolidate key points. Okay, so what I'm going to say is analyze these documents for input and inputs, document and for. No, that's not what I want. I want the other one, specific fields. And we have input key points. So I'll say analyze the key points listed below for each section, and do the following. So we'll say 1, review each key point in detail, or I'll just say read. Identify duplicates, remove duplicates, and replace with a consolidated unique key point. And then 4 is if multiple key points are related, consolidate into one longer key point. And then here I'm just going to say, consolidated key points. I just want this to be a string, and I'll say the output should be a single string with a bulleted list. So example. Etc. So something like that. So for input and inputs, look at the key points and then consolidate. All right, let's give it a shot. I'll pause it so we don't have to watch the process. Okay, so that took, I think, 5 cents. So if we zoom in, it has come up with 75 key points. So we went from 400 to 75. So that is a 4x reduction, which is not great to be. I mean, it's okay. It's great if we keep the pipeline moving. As a final step, I don't think that's ideal. So I think this is a good point to do a reset and be like, what am I trying to do here, right? Like, I'm trying to create a string, which is something I can feed to an LLM as context to ask questions about my blog posts. So I'm trying to create this sort of like summarized document which is queryable. So I'm trying to balance granularity with high takeaways. And I want to be able to ask questions like, what type of topics are in my blog posts, or what kind of skills do I show in my blog posts, or what kind of keywords can I summarize from my blog posts in my resume or in my cover letter, or things like that. Or if I want to talk about an interview question, like how would I summarize my experience in this technical work in an interview question. So those are the types of things I want to do. I want to have this like queryable blog post LLM context. So introduction of two classification models. Data blocks creates data sets from data frame. Like, this is all very technical. Not technical. Technical is the wrong. I mean, all of it's technical, but it's too granular, right? Like, a script organizes bare images into directories by a specific type, downloading them from CSV files and renaming them for easier identification. That's too specific for what I'm trying to do. However, I don't want to over optimize without actually testing it. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can just copy this. And we're going to go to Claude. And I'm going to say the attached context is a list of 75 key points from a set of technical blog posts that I have written. What are your main takeaways from this list of key points in terms of the types of projects I work on, the types of skills I apply, ML coding, and anything you can infer about my work style or writing style. Let's say work style that I documented in the blog posts. And let's just paste it, and let's see what it says. Connection termination. Okay. Shoot. All right, let's try to... I have attached 75 key points from a group of blog posts that I've published. Can you give me the main takeaways, a list of skills that I exhibit in this work, and any other general ideas about the types of projects I work on and my working style? So let's see. You demonstrate deep practical knowledge. I don't know about that. With hands-on experience in image classification, multi-label classification, and collaborative filtering systems. Your work spans from data collection and pre-processing to model deployment and user interfaces, showing capability to deliver complete solutions. Okay, interactive applications that make data. I think this was the Shiny census app. Yeah, this is tough, right? Because like a couple of those blog posts were like chapter summaries, which I did do the work, but it wasn't like I came up with it. I was summarizing the work that we did in the textbook. I guess that counts as doing it because I did do the exercises and things like that. I think what I'll add to this is cite explicit key points from the attached list as evidence to any claims you make. Sophisticated understanding of latent factors. Thank you, Claude. Consistently pursue accuracy improvements, averaging predictions. Yeah, I didn't really do the citing. Write out verbatim the cited key points. Cool. Okay, so I like that it's citing it. Yeah, I like that it's citing it. And then skills. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't remember doing database. Oh, I guess I did. Yeah, for the Shiny app. Cool. And yeah, so I think this is good enough. Like, I guess what I'm dealing with is kind of like what level of abstraction of information do I want to end up with in my doc ETL pipeline versus what level of summarization and theme extraction do I want the LLM to do. And I think because I've chosen the output product of the doc ETL pipeline to be LLM context, I think there's a lot of squishiness in that. If I created a doc ETL pipeline to say, okay, give me, summarize, skills, main takeaways, skills I exhibit, project types, and working style. If I put that in doc ETL, then I think I would come up with a much tighter output. And I think I'm going to do that. So I think the good thing here is I can always see, I can say show outputs and it'll show me the output. So I always have this accessible. So I'm going to add an operation to do another reduce, right? So this reduce was kind of identify duplicates and rewrite or consolidate similar key points into a longer key point. So that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have another reduce. And basically I'm going to go here and kind of just put this. So I'll say, given the list of key points from my blog posts, can you please generate the main takeaways, a list of skills that I exhibit in this work, any other general ideas about the types of projects I work on and my working style. And what I'm going to do is, and I'll say analyze these key points. And this is just going to be, now that I think about it, like, is it really reduce? Extract, rank, parallel map, filter, resolve. Because I only have one document, so I don't think it's a reduce. So let's remove this. I think it's just a map. And it's input dot consolidated key points. And I'll say, and this is a lot of, so I'll say 20 to 30 main takeaways, a list of, 10 to 20 skills, and then this is going to be like summary. It's going to be a string, and I'm going to say summarize. I'll say like generate blog posts summary. Okay, let's try this and see what it does. Okay, so let's see. Here's our summary, and it has main takeaways. It has 29 skills exhibited. General ideas, machine learning for this, emphasis on practical implementations with clear video or guided resources, user-focused applications, involvement in both solo and collaborative projects. I don't know where I've talked about collaborative projects. Oh, I guess I did collaborate with the data support team there. So maybe that's what it's talking about. Maybe collaborative filter modeling is throwing it off. I could also use a better model than GPT-4o Mini. But what this does is that now I can show the key points. So here's my LLM context, right? Interesting. This time it did 29 instead of 75. So that's quite variable. So in any case, here's the key points that I can feed to an LLM of my choice, or here is the summary that this LLM of my choosing here generates. But in any case, this is definitely what I was looking for as a final result. It definitely needs a lot more polish. I definitely need to understand how to use a resolve, because maybe the resolve would be more appropriate than a reduce for consolidating key points. And then I need to run this for all 164 markdown blog posts instead of 5 and see what that looks like for the full document collection. But overall, I'm pretty happy and content with this pipeline. Hopefully this was interesting for you all to watch. I'll try to do more videos as I try out different use cases of DocWrangler and DocETL, and I will hopefully utilize some of this in my own work and own reflection on my work and preparing for things like interviews and job searches and things like that, which I am going to start doing in probably January. So, yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see anything in particular in terms of processing documents or something I should try differently in this. I would definitely love your feedback. And thanks for sticking around until the end. Bye.